So with episode 3 of Zombieland Saga, they definitely toned down the outlandish nature that episode 1 and 2 laid out and went for a more traditional idol anime, but still remained to be pretty out there in terms of its zombie comedy. And this will be an interesting episode to see the reaction to because, like I mentioned in episode 1, I've seen a few different idol anime and I've enjoyed them. It's not my go-to genre, but I'm not against an idol anime, and this episode definitely felt like it was trying to go a bit more traditional, but still try to be a little unique in terms of the genre, and I'll be interested to see, because episode 1 and 2 definitely laid it out as a very outlandish and crazy series, bending different musical genres, and just trying to be so over the top it almost felt like a parody, where this episode, it definitely felt like a much more traditional idol anime in terms of the structure. Hell, we even get the traditional 3D idol group scene, where they're all 3D models in a dance routine, which is something that I've seen in every single idol anime that I've completed when you get into the bigger performances, which I'm sure people who haven't seen an idol anime before probably have never seen something like that, so it's probably going to be very kind of off-putting for them. But overall though, this episode, though it wasn't my favorite episode out of the 3, it was actually my least favorite, I still had a fun time with it. I think they did find the proper balance in terms of still sprinkling in some of that more absurd comedy, but actually trying to tell an idol story and kind of working in their own weird and unique way. I think it's actually probably for the best that they didn't try to one-up themselves once again, because episode 2 I thought did one-up itself after its amazing first episode, but I think if every single episode they were trying to go so over the top to just keep trying to surprise the viewer, it honestly would grow stale. So the fact that they went a bit more traditional with its idol story probably is for the best. Now, obviously this is going to be hard to predict where the series is going to go because it is such a new entry for the genre, but I think once we see about 5 episodes for the show, we'll be able to predict exactly what the series is trying to be. But if they did want to go the route of maybe only every few episodes or every other episode to be really over the top and crazy, I think that would work better than trying to be over the top and crazy every single episode, because it would grow stale. And the fact of the matter is they obviously are trying to tell an idol story, but how much of an idol story are they trying to tell? Are they trying to be a really traditional, just having their characters be zombies, or are they going to just really go wild with it because we have a character like the manager who does want to be so over the top and crazy? Like, it'll be interesting to see where this series is going to go, but I still had a fun time with this episode. Like, I mean, just starting it off and you're having the manager be exactly who he is. He's praising them. It's kind of like a backhanded compliment in its own way, and just the way they were directing the over the top nature, no matter what he does on screen, is always entertaining. And I do like how they kind of form this group and how they're picking their leader, you know? And we choose Saki, but obviously she's probably not going to be the best leader at first, but will grow into the leadership role, and them just choosing their names. It was just a very interesting interaction because unlike other idol anime, you have characters from different periods of time, some with experience in the business, and then other people who are parts of biker gangs, or you have the more sweet and innocent characters trying to be all cutesy in their idol performances, but then you also have characters like Tai who are just eating markers, and it's absolutely hilarious just seeing these characters interact with one another, because some of them want to be a part of this and then others don't. And what I like is how, even though it was trying to be a lot more traditional in this episode in terms of idol anime, they still were able to manage that zombie comedy. Like when Tai was kind of spinning them around on the merry-go-round, and then our main character, Sagar, just goes flying and goes headfirst into the ground. Like, that's something only a zombie show could have, and I love that, because there's still these moments that, even though this episode was a lot more down to earth, and it feels weird to say because this is Zombieland Saga, but it definitely felt more down to earth than the first 2 episodes, but it still managed to have those moments of just like, you wanted to laugh because it was so over the top and ridiculous. And one of my favorite moments in the episode is when, you know, they're all kind of down in the dumps because this overnight kind of studying for their routine isn't going well, and then Sakura's about to give the pep talk, and then she gets smacked in the face because people are thinking she was going to give them negativity, and then all the other characters board together saying like, no, we gotta be positive, despite clearly that's all she wanted to do. That was an absolute hilarious moment, and remind me of that first moment you see when she gets hit by the car, because you weren't expecting that slap. It was so quick, and I absolutely loved it. But just the overall performance and just how this episode functioned, it was a lot more traditional, but it still managed to make me have fun. Like, this didn't feel like the other idol anime that I've completed, despite having some of the core fundamentals present in this episode. I think it's clear, though, if this episode is a proper representation of future episodes, that it probably is going to stick to the idol music, but I just feel like because we have the manager and we have all these different personalities, different musical genres still probably are going to get sprinkled in off and on, but I don't think it's going to be every single episode we're going to have headbanging to the metal music or things like that. I think it is going to sprinkle it off and on, but maybe it will just be the remainder of these episodes. The last 9 episodes will just be idol music, but if they do find a way to keep the kind of zombie comedy fresh and interesting, while also just making these characters' personalities bounce off one another in a fairly unique and intriguing way, this will still remain to be one of the more entertaining shows of this season. Obviously, this episode is not going to be for everyone because it wasn't so over the top, and most people that did stick with this probably were sticking with this not because of idols, but because of zombie idols. So it'll be interesting to see how the series is going to go. I do think overall the presentation is still kicking ass. I just love the over-the-top reactions, how they are directing it. Hopefully we get more Manager, because this episode we only got a little bit of a sprinkle of him, but I have to say it's nice to see that cop once again returned, and his intro with the music. There's just something funny about this guy. I hope he doesn't ever overstay his welcome. He just keeps kind of popping up in such outlandish situations. But I will say though, the music in this episode was pretty damn good. There was a couple of background pieces that really just sold those scenes, but I think the cops kind of intro music was the best part of the episode. I really liked it. But overall though, like I said, this is my least favorite episode of the three, but even with that said, it still managed to grip me and not feel like just your traditional idol anime. I do hope though in the future they do find ways to keep that zombie comedy kind of fresh and interesting, while still playing around with musical genres, because I think the stuff that they did play around with was really interesting and unique, and I hope we see more kind of music genre bending in the future. But let me know whatever you thought of this episode down in the comment section below. Did you love it? Did you hate your favorite moment? Whatever you're feeling, let me know. And be sure to like the video if you did enjoy, and also hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content from me in the future. But until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.